Alright, so now we're going to move to the next film. This film is actually another 10 years later. It came out in 1925, and it's known as Battleship Potemkin in English, which actually, I have no idea how to say the Russian term for it. But it is directed by Sergei Eisenstein, and he was probably one of the more astute directors of his time. He understood editing, he understood directing, and he really, with this film, set a new tone for the way to make a movie. Now, this film, as artistic as it looks and as modern as it looks, watch the editing in it, watch the pacing of it. All of these things are very fantastic, but it also is controversial. It's Soviet propaganda. It is communist propaganda in that what they're trying to portray to the audience is that the rise of the Soviets, the rise of communism in Russia was a good thing, and that it was a revolutionary day for the people of Russia and its neighboring communities. But nonetheless, Battleship Potemkin has a very modern feel to it. One of the reasons for this is what's known as the well, it's based on the theory of the montage of attraction. This is a process where something that is independent and an arbitrary unit that what am I trying to say here? Attraction or impression were assembled to produce a total emotional effect different from the sum of its parts. Huh? What did he just say? I don't even know. No, I'm kidding. I kind of do. The idea is this. There was a theory. It's a Marxist theory that you have thesis. You have something that says, this is something. You could say a pen. You could say a video camera. Whatever it is, you've got a thesis. Maybe it's an idea. The just shall live by faith. But no matter what in life, you're always going to have antithesis. Something that is opposite of it. And those two things, thesis and antithesis, at some point, it's the law of attraction. They are going to attract each other because they're opposites, and they're going to clash and collide. And what happens is not obliteration, not total annihilation, but actually the birth of something new, which would become a brand new thesis. So it is interesting. You can look in the book, and there's a couple little charts about how that works. Actually, so you have thesis, antithesis, and then those clash, and they form synthesis, meaning the two clash and they form something new, some sort of synthesis. Now, what does this have to do with cinema? Well, cinema is an art form, isn't it? And cinema expresses different types of philosophies, and philosophy affects art. And so Sergei Eisenstein was very much influenced by the idea that you could have maybe two separate things, but if they were put together, they could communicate something different than they would apart. What do I mean by this? Okay, let's say in this frame, you've got me. I'm right here in the camera. It's set up really nice here, and this is my frame, and I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm shocked. My face is looking shocked. Now, why am I shocked? We have no idea. That's just what you're established with. You see me doing that. Now, what if in the next frame you saw something like this? This is going to be really silly, but let's pretend that's a snake. That's the next frame. So, in one frame you have me going, oh, and in the next frame you have this. Those two things fused together create something new in that I'm scared of a snake. Excuse me. Now, the snake and myself were never in the same frame together. But when you take the frame of me being scared and then the frame of the snake and put them one after the other, it implies that that's what I was scared of. And this whole new idea of montage, that you can assemble things together to communicate something new to the audience, was quite revolutionary. In fact, really, it is the form of cinema that exists to this day. You can get away a lot in modern cinema by people responding to things and then cutting away to what they're responding to. It's fantastic. And it's not based on real time. It's based on getting into the person's mind. It's based on getting into the sum of the parts as opposed to the parts that are individual. I hope you follow that. If you don't, please email me or take a look in the book, especially the section on Sergei Eisenstein. I'll post a reading for that here in a little bit. But this new style of editing, the style of montage editing, really starts to look what we're used to seeing. Now, here's what's interesting about it too. Because you're having to put up so many different shots to communicate emotion and feeling to your audience so they can connect with it, you're going to have a lot more shots. Here's an interesting fact. Birth of a Nation, like I said, is over 3 hours long, and it has 1,375 shots assembled in it. Battleship Potemkin, on the other hand, is half of that distance. It's only 86 minutes long, and it has 1,346 shots. Now do the math there. If you have a 3.5 hour long movie with 1,375 shots, and then you have a movie that's half that size with basically the same amount of shots, 1,346, what's the pacing of it going to be like? Well, you'll see the opening scene. Shot after shot after shot after shot. Compare that. This movie's 1925. Compare that back to 1903, 1902, when A Trip to the Moon came out. In just a difference of 20, 25 years, we go from, oh, I'm sitting in the theater watching a play, but it happens to be a movie, to all of a sudden the movie is... It's moving quickly. It's flashing images up on us. It's pulling us into the movie. It's making us a part of the movie because the camera is placed in so many different places and the shots are connecting different ideas and different emotions and different feelings. We connect to it. It makes us respond to the movie. So that is one of the interesting things about Battleship Potemkin, and that's why we watch it in this class, for really its artistic advances, but also, as I said, culturally, is communicating a communist or Soviet idea that the Soviet Revolution was something that benefited people. And it brings up, another point that for discussion, that the reality is that movies are always communicating ideas. Some of them are ones that we agree with. Some of them are ones that we don't. And we need to be wary. We need to really be on guard and to observe, what are these people trying to communicate to me? Do I believe it? Do I not believe it? Why? Why not?